Greetings, Benjamin J. from BENZTRAINZ with another in the series. Well, what you're looking at, of course, is a Marx double reduction motor. Now, I just got this thing running. This came in that box of parts. And like I said, I got a 666 body, that Lionel engine, a bunch of cars, two motors. Neither one of them ran, of course. This thing was dead as a hammer. So it was also missing the push rods. So I just installed a new set of push rods on this, and what I did is you clean up these pegs a bit and just use a small file, put the push rod on, and then you just use a center punch directly over that pin, and then a couple of smacks with a 4-ounce ball peen hammer, and that mushrooms the top out and locks the push rod in place. So I just got the new push rods on it. Like I said, it was dead. It didn't even buzz, just dead as a hammer. So I did the bypass, and again, if you want to do the bypass on the E unit, take the E unit out of the circuit by cutting its power, apply power to this side of the coil, apply this side of the coil to the brushes, it will run forward. You can reverse this, apply power here, apply this side of the brushes to the coil, and it'll run backwards. So anyway, just a quick video on how quickly you can restore one of these old motors. Now, like I said, this came in a box of parts. I got the entire box of parts for $24. And so now I have two running motors, two running engines, and using all the tin litho cars as well. So I just got this put back together. I'm going to do a quick test with a small transformer just to see how it runs. So Marx double reduction motor, of course. Find a way to hold it so I don't get in my own way. And it runs absolutely perfectly, as you see. So a really simple way to bypass the E unit and get one of these motors running. Now, to replace this E unit, the only reason I came up with this bypass is to replace this simple E unit, you have to completely dismantle this motor. You have to pull the wheels, split the case, pull this out, buy a new one. The odds of repairing them are problematical in the ones that I get. Most of these things have been stored for decades, usually in a really terrible environment, and they're covered with rust, and the oxide just eats these things alive. This one was in fairly decent shape, but even so, the E unit would not cycle, so the coil was bad. So there's no practical way to repair them unless you want to start rewinding coils. I don't. So if the E unit doesn't work, or if it chatters or buzzes or is intermittent, I simply bypass it. It's just a lot easier to do it. You don't have to mess with it, and it only takes a minute to do this. Just apply power to this side of the coil, that side of the coil goes to the brushes, and the motor will run. As long as the coil is good, regardless of what else is wrong with it, the motor will run. As long as you have good brushes in it, of course. So a really simple and straightforward way to reclaim some of these dead motors. You know, this was in that box of parts simply because it did not run. And it's running perfectly now, and it's a double reduction motor, which this is the motor in the 666, and now in this configuration, since it doesn't have its own headlight, it is the perfect choice to put in a Commodore Vanderbilt, or an engine that has an external light mounted to the shell itself rather than being mounted on the motor. So anyway, just a quick video. Soak this really good in oil, as you can tell, and be running it intermittently for the next day or so. And then I'll very likely put this in a wind-up Commodore Vanderbilt conversion. And you can just drop this in, replace the front mounting bar for a Commodore Vanderbilt, and you have a double reduction motor in a Commodore Vanderbilt that will pull almost anything a 666 will pull. So a really easy and simple, quick way to get these old motors back up and running. So total investment in this now is, I don't know, an hour of my time, something like that. Like I said, I just put the new push rods on it. Why they were gone, I have no idea. But it looks like they had just scavenged them for parts, actually. but everything else was intact. It just didn't run. So just a quick video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email. BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.